Good morning, everybody. It is midnight here on the west coast of Canada, where we are in Pacific time. And so it's the start of World Card Making Day. And if you're catching this when I'm posting it, that's awesome. You're probably not in my time zone. Um, and if you're watching this later, great. The beauty of this event is that we've got people from all over the world, both presenting and watching. So everything is going to be kind of available throughout the day. You can follow us after the fact. If you miss a presentation, you can go back and watch it. We've got 24 hours of card making, so we've got 24 presenters from around the world that are all going to be teaching you something about card making. I'm Stefanie Pletscher. I'm also known as the Crafty Medic. So if you follow me on social media, on my blog, you may know me by that name. I live, like I said, here on the west coast of Canada, and yeah, we're going to have an awesome day. So thank you so much for joining us for World Card Making Day 2021. I'm going to be showing you how to make alcohol ink backgrounds, and this is a technique that I was kind of afraid of at first. I couldn't get it to work the first couple times I tried it, but then I found the key. So if you haven't seen this, and I'm sure you have, these are the backgrounds I'm talking about. This is a card that I made for my blog the other day, and we've got these lovely colors in the background, and they're all kind of like splashed around, and it's really cool. So you're going to need a few different things. I'm going to put my stamp set aside, but I am going to use that later. You're going to need a piece of vellum, and I've already cut this to 5 by 3¼ inches. You're going to need whatever colors of Stampin' Blends markers you want to use. I'm using Fresh Freesia, Evening Evergreen, and Soft Succulent. And then you're going to need a spritzer. And what's in this spritzer is the secret. We're putting isopropyl alcohol in here, but the first few times I tried this, it really didn't work, and I realized I was using 70% alcohol, whereas what you want is you want 99% alcohol. I didn't even know that it came in different concentrations, so look for that 99%, and you're laughing. This is the same alcohol that you would use to clean up your desk, to disinfect your desk, those kinds of things, so it's kind of handy to have around anyways. And you're going to need a heat tool as well. You can do this without the heat tool, but it turns out a lot better, and it's much easier if you have it. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to scribble some of our Stampin' Blends markers onto our piece. And I'm going to show you later, every one of these turns out different. So you're just going to scribble around wherever you want, however you want. Add a few different colors in. And again, this is going to look different every time, and it's not going to stay with these scribbles. So don't worry about your scribbles being right. And that was the biggest thing for me to let go of, was I felt like my scribbles had to be correct. Now you're going to take your spritzer and you're going to soak this down with alcohol. You can see that the ink is kind of beading up. That's exactly what you want. Now you're going to take your heat tool, and you're doing two things with your heat tool. You're going to be drying, and you're going to be pushing the ink around. And you'll see what I mean when I turn this loud bugger on. All right, so once it's dry, if you're happy with how it turned out, you could totally just stop there. I'm going to do a little bit more scribbling, spritzing, and heating though, just to get some more of those pools of ink going, and just to add a little bit of extra kind of dimension, add some more ink onto here, especially my Fresh Freesia. I wanted to have a little bit more on there, and then maybe we'll add a little bit of that Soft Succulent in as well and get some more of that. Again, you're going to spritz, you're going to heat, and you're going to keep doing that until you're happy with how it turns out. Still not thrilled about this corner and this corner, so I'm just going to keep going here. Add some more You can see how I can kind of erase with this marker too if I wanted to change a color. And then again, and you might get ink everywhere, don't worry about it. You can always just clean it up again with a wipe of that alcohol. I usually just put a puddle of that alcohol on my desk and then clean it up with a microfiber cloth, and it disinfects while it cleans too, which is awesome. Alrighty, so that I'm pretty happy with. I love this bloom that I've got down in here, some of my puddles and streaks. I'm going to do one more thing, and that's give kind of a little half-hearted spritz. And all that's going to do is add like some little water drops on here. You can see that as those dry, how that gives kind of those little droplets on there. Okay, so we're done with the alcohol, we're done with the markers. Now we have to put this whole thing together. Now vellum can be a little bit persnickety to work with because it shows through, right? So anything that you attach to the back here, adhesives, is going to show through the vellum. So what I like to do is I like to glue this onto a piece of cardstock. It really makes the colors pop and it makes it easier to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue this onto a piece of Whisper White cardstock here. I've cut this a little bit bigger just so I don't have to be precise with my placement, and I'm going to trim this down once it's done. So to do this, I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to spread glue kind of all over. Make sure I've got a nice amount of glue on there. And then here you can see right through, and you can see those ugly glue streaks. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a sponge and we're going to thin out that glue. Make sure we get right out to the edges. And yes, this is getting glue all over my table. Again, that alcohol and microfiber, gold for getting glue off of your table. And now we've got this all a nice thin layer of glue on there, and now you can't see those lines anymore. So we're going to glue this onto our piece of cardstock here. Again, don't have to worry too much about being precise. We're going to trim it down anyways. And I've got glue all over my table, so let's get rid of that. I'm just going to put a little bit of a puddle of alcohol on my table here. Oops, now I can't get my lid back on. Come on. Good enough. Okay, and then I've got my microfiber cloth here, and I'm just going to wipe down my table. And that's got that glue off of there. It's got some of the extra ink that I had on my table off of there. And it's disinfected. Okay, so we've got this on here. Now we're just going to trim this down. And I'm just going to kind of take some little cuts until it's straight along one edge, and then it becomes super easy to cut the other edges down. And now what I've essentially got is a piece of cardstock that has my vellum on there so I can see what's going on, and it's a lot easier to work with this. So I've got my meadow dies. I've pulled this flower out. You can use whatever flower you've got. So same as you could use whatever ink color you want here. You can use whatever flower you want. There's other die sets that have similar dies in it as well. This is just the one that I had handy and I liked, because we're actually going to cut this flower out and make 2 cards out of one piece here. Because, as I said, I'm a fan of work smarter, not harder. If you're like me and have to make a ton of birthday cards, why not make 2 cards from one background piece? Alrighty. So now we've got our die. We've got 2 pieces here. We've got our background, and then we've got this flower, if it comes out. There we go. So we've got our flower piece and our background piece with that nice negative space. I did cheat a little bit, and I did do some other die cutting ahead of time, but you'll see how that looks in just a moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of stamping. So I've got one of my favorite sentiment sets, Peaceful Moments here. I've got that die cut from Contoured Scallops or Scallop Contours. And I like this set because it has that main sentiment and then it has some for the inside as well. So I'm going to use the Happy Birthday one because, like I said, I have to make a ton of birthday cards. And then my Evening Evergreen ink. We're going to stamp this. Oh, let's stamp it in the other corner here. We're going to stamp that there. And I'm going to stamp this onto just a 1-inch strip of basic white paper there. So that's my stamping done. Now I've got those pieces and I've got a couple of card bases. So these are just basic white, thick basic white cardstock. Got 8.5 by 5.5 for both of them. Hi, Leia. My little doggo Leia is joining us. Yes, she is. She's a very good girl, and she wants under my desk. You gonna come under my desk? There you go. Alrighty. So when you're folding your card bases, you want to put the bump in. So when you score, you're pushing the paper down into a channel usually, and you've got that bump on the inside of your card. You're going to fold it. Now, a lot of people will just burnish with their finger, but use a bone folder. It makes a world of a difference. So all you're going to do is you're going to take that edge of your bone folder and you're going to push right down onto the table and make sure that you've got a nice crisp fold there. Your card is going to lay flatter. It's going to mail easier. It's going to stand easier. It's an absolute game changer. So we're going to use that. And don't forget to score as well. Don't just fold your card. If you score beforehand, it makes a huge difference and your card will be much cleaner and look a lot nicer. Okay, we're going to glue our main background onto one of these, and I'm just using some liquid glue, getting it into some of those details so that the whole piece doesn't pick up. Okay, and then this we are going to layer onto our card front, probably getting glue everywhere. Oh, I managed pretty well. Perfect. And you could totally add like shimmer inks, Wink of Stella, those kinds of things to this as well. I'm leaving this fairly simple for today, but you could totally do that as well. So this one, I'm going to glue just the flower onto that layer that I've die cut and stamped. Again, getting the glue onto some of those details so that it sticks nicely. And then we've got our second piece. And this one we're going to actually put some dimensionals on and stick onto our card base. Okay, and don't forget any of the supplies that I'm using here today, you can buy either from me if you're in Canada, from your demonstrator if you already have one, from yourself if you are a demonstrator, or find one of our presenters that's in your country if you're not in Canada, or if you are in Canada, there's other Canadians presenting as well. And we've all posted our host codes so that you can actually order from us and support some of the demonstrators that we are featuring today. Of course, you can always order from your own demonstrator or from yourself if that's how you usually order. But we all have our host codes posted so that you can order from us as well. This layer, I just snipped it a little bit, trimmed the end off, and then I'm going to pop this on with some dimensionals. So each of these really just has one layer that's popped up. Oh dear, I think I've made a mess of my first card there. Now, we used to sell these, but you can get them at any art supply store. I've even seen them at the dollar store. Adhesive erasers, they're amazing for when you get glue in places where you don't want glue, like I just did. All right, so there is kind of the basic version of my two cards. You could totally add some more embellishments to this, some ribbon if you wanted. I'm going to show you some other versions that I made. So this is another one that I made where I did add some embellishments so you can see how those backgrounds end up looking totally different. And then this is another one just with the flower on the other side. But you can see all of those backgrounds. I used the same color, exactly the same technique, but they all turned out a little bit different. So that is what I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something from me today. We have 23 more presentations coming throughout the day. So stick around, go run your errands if you need to. All these videos will be available after as well. But yeah, happy card making day. Take part in some of the activities. We want you sending cards as well. No point in making all these beautiful cards if you're not going to send them or give them away. Yeah, and have a fantastic day. Happy stamping. Happy World Card Making Day. And we'll see you next time. Bye.